Hello and welcome. Today's video is for 7th grade math, and it's all about how to complete the order of operations with decimals. So before we begin, let's review what the order of operations are. So we use the order of operations when we are going to complete an expression or evaluate an expression that has multiple operations in it, like a mix of adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing, sometimes not all in the same order. So here's a little acronym that we use to follow or to remember what the steps are. P, E, M, D, A-S, also pronounced as PEMDAS. I've also seen it written as GEMDAS with a G in the front, and that's okay as well. So let's talk about what each of these letters stands for. So let's pick a different color here. Okay, so P is for parentheses. That means first you do any operations that are inside parentheses in your expression. E is for exponents. So if you see any exponential numbers in your expression, you're going to want to do that second. The M and the D stand for multiplication and division. So you do that before you do any addition or subtraction. But for multiplication division, you move from left to right. That means if you have multiplication first and then division, you would do it that way. But if you have division first and then multiplication, you would also go left to right. So that means you would do the division first in that case. Okay, let me take that down. And then let's talk about A and S. A is for addition and S is for subtraction, and that is also left to right. So if you have an expression that all you have left is adding and subtracting, you would move from left to right. So in this case, you would do the adding first, then the subtracting. But if the subtracting was listed first and that's all you had left, then that's what you would do first, moving from left to right. Okay, so let's do some examples together. First, we're going to evaluate the expression 0.2 plus 0.3 divided by 0.6. Now, even though these involve decimals, we're still going to be following the order of operations, or PEMDAS. So if you need to write that off to the side just to keep yourself on track, you can totally do that. But after a while of doing this, you'll probably start memorizing it and won't need to write it, and that's totally fine. So even though these have decimals, I'm not going to demonstrate the decimal operations too much because I have other videos that go more depth into that. Instead, I want to focus on this video on the order of operations and which one to do first. So you may not see me actually do all the calculations, but that's okay because if you have questions about how to do those, you can see some of my other videos. Okay, so let's start with parentheses. We don't have any parentheses in this expression. We don't have any exponents in this expression. We do have division, so that falls under the multiplication division level, but we don't have multiplication. All we have is division, so that's what we're going to do first. So we're going to start by taking 0.3 and dividing it by 0.6, which would give me 0.5. Again, if you're not sure how that works, see some of my previous videos about dividing decimals or doing operations with decimals. I'm going to go ahead and bring down that 0.2 and put a plus right there because we haven't done anything with the 0.2 yet. Now that is the only operation I have left is adding, and that falls right here. So 0.2 plus 0.5 is 0.7. So that would be the valuation of this expression. Okay, so here's our next one. Again, I'm going to go ahead and write PEMDAS here just in case. There we go. Okay, so this expression doesn't have any parentheses, doesn't have any exponents, so I can skip those two. It does have multiplication and division, and in fact, that's all it has. I don't see any adding or subtracting, so we can even cross that off. But remember, multiplication division is from left to right. So I have to do what, if as I'm going this way, I have to do whatever I find first. And that would be the 0.2 divided by 0.4. So I'm going to go ahead and calculate that, and I would get 0.5. Then I'm going to bring down the other things I haven't done yet, which is like times 0.8 and divided by 0.1. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and keep going. Again, I still have multiplication and division, so same level, but I have to move from left to right, which means I have to do this first because it's on the left. So I'm going to calculate 0.8 times 0.5 or 0.5 times 0.8, however you want to do it. And that's going to end up 0.4. Then I'm going to bring down the divided by 0.1. Now that's my only operation left. So I'm going to go ahead and calculate that 0.4 divided by 0.1, and that gives me 4. So the final evaluation of this expression would be 4. Okay, here's our next one. Let's go through our list and see what we have here. We do not have parentheses, we do not have exponents, but we do have multiplication or division. In fact, we just have division, no multiplication, but I still need to move from left to right. So that means I need to do this part or this division first before I do the other one. So I'm going to go ahead and calculate 0.1 divided by 1, which gives me 0.1. Now I can either bring down the rest of it. In fact, I think that's what I'll do. 0.4 divided by 0.8. Okay, so what I have left is I have adding and division. Division still comes before adding, so that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to take this 0.4 and divide it by 0.8. And when I do that, I get 0.5. So this is 0.5 here, but I'm going to bring down this 0.1 and the plus because I haven't done that yet. Now that I'm done with all the dividing, I'm going to go ahead and do the only thing I have left, which is adding. 0.1 plus 0.5 should equal 0.6. So that would be the final evaluation of this expression. Okay, so here is our next one. We're going to evaluate 0.8 minus 0.2 plus 4 times 0.1. Okay, so I already have PEMDAS written down here. We don't have any parentheses or exponents in this expression. We do have multiplication though, and we see it right here. So that is what I'm going to do first. No division on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and calculate 4 times 0.1, and I end up with 0.4 there. So I'm going to bring down the 0.8, the minus, the 0.2, and the plus. Okay, so I'm done with that level. All I have left is addition, subtraction, so I have to move from left to right, which means I'm going to end up doing this part first, this subtraction. So when I take 0.8 and I subtract 0.2, I end up with 0.6. I'll bring down the plus and the 0.4. When I add those together, since that's the only thing left, I end up with 1.0 or just 1. Okay, here's our last example for today. I am not going to write PEMDAS on the screen because I want to see if you can remember the order of operations without me writing it. We don't have any parentheses. We don't have any exponents. Next level would be multiplication division, and we do have multiplication right here. So that's what we're going to need to do first. So let's calculate 4 times 0.1, which is 0.4. I'm going to bring down the other 0.4 and the plus that's in between them because I haven't done that part yet. Now all I have left is addition, so I'm going to go ahead and add those two together, and I should end up with 0.8 as my final evaluation. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again.